Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood.
And I'm Chris Mancini. Welcome to the Comedy Film Nerds Podcast, episode 237.
Yeah.
Great show for you today. We're going to be talking about Fury, Rudderless, The Book of Life, The Judge, and some really cool stuff on DVD and some not so cool stuff on DVD.
Yeah, and then what's coming out this week? We're starting to get into Oscar films. But I wanted to thank everybody that came out to Go Bananas this past weekend in Cincinnati. It was a great weekend.
Oh, you were at Go Bananas?
Yeah. It's a fun club. Have you played that club before?
Yeah.
I love that club.
Yeah.
And
It is a fun club. I remember when we did it.
You know, it's been there for a million years, and it's
in the back.
It's in the back.
Is Mike still managing it and booking it?
Mike Kurtz is still managing it. So
what were you doing there? A special show or something?
I was just headlining all weekend.
Oh, cool.
And then
So, best special show.
Yeah.
special. And Doug Benson did a show on Saturday at a 420 show, and I opened up for him, and that was a lot of fun because I haven't performed with him in a while, and we did a Bane off, and we did we played some DLM games and shit like that. It was a lot of fun. So
Well, let's introduce our guest. I mean, he's already
let's do
chimed
it.
in.
Sorry about that. I can't keep my mouth shut.
It's his first time on the show, and also we got him here because he normally lives in New York, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
and I'm
happy
in
to have
town
him
this
here.
week. Yeah, and I'm great. It's great to be here, and I love your space. I love the free weights and the refrigerator, and then a bunch of clothes. This is literally looks like my mother's basement.
Yeah.
Can I do some bicep curls while we do
sure.
this?
Why
And then you
not?
have a shredder. Apparently, you're doing some NSA stuff.
yeah, don't worry about it.
And then a very gothic, like, Christian kind of chair from, like, a church. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I feel like you're stealing shit and then selling it out of this garage.
Just so you know, everything in this garage gets used at one time.
I don't know if I was allowed to say garage, but it is. There's a door behind me. This is awesome.
This is how it gets.
And then
done.
and then you're weighing stuff. So apparently you're dealing crystal meth. Good
Yeah,
for
we
you
do
guys.
meth and gothic chairs. That's our meth gothic chair.
There's not a
business.
lot of people offering both of those
Yeah,
things.
and
It's fine and
they're all
niche.
signed.
That's what they're all draft meth. That's what our fans like. They like meth and gothic chairs.
If I could just do crystal meth while sitting on a gothic chair, I know where to go. The Comedy Nerds.
This is us.
And this is like, just so people know, it's not like they got like a couple of weights. They have like a machine where you can do squats, and like it's literally like, it's kind of like you ripped off a gym, but only took like what you could get your hands on in 20 minutes. Like you took part of a gym.
Well, I think it was more of a fire sale. You know, I mean, I think it was more-
And it was 30 minutes.
yeah, it was about 30 minutes. We had a big van. It worked out.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Daily Show writer and also
Former
comedian and
writer, but
podcaster,
I've been a
former
writer on shit, yeah.
Paul Mecurio.
Yes.
And you have a podcast on the Sideshow Network. Tell us all about it.
I do. Because as a comedian, it's the law. They were, because I think do a podcast, and I like, talking long form, like, long form interviews, and podcast world is a great place to do it, you can't do it on radio anymore. You can't do it on TV and, other than if it's Charlie Rose or Tavis Smiley. So, I just decided to start talking to people, and I realized, I knew a few people with some pretty cool backgrounds and names. So I've had, Bob Costas on, Sugar Ray Leonard, Jay Leno, host of the Mythbusters, Stephen Colbert, Rob Corddry, talking. I like to sort of not just have it be about comedy. I'm just really fascinated by process and what people do and how they do it. So
How'd you get these people on the show?
I have pictures of a lot of people sitting in gothic chairs doing crystal meth. I fucking own these people. Am I allowed to swear?
Sure.
Sorry. So, Bob Costas, I had an HBO sports comedy series. So, through HBO, I got to know him, and he interviewed me. I played the asterisk, a personification of the asterisk, which I think is the most powerful symbol and powerful thing in sports. And so I was a personification of it, and he interviewed me, and he was awesome. Like, he came in, he didn't know any copy. I handed him the paper, and like 3 minutes he had it. And it's actually online, and people can see it. It's part of an HBO series called Got No Game that I did. Stephen Colbert and I started together on The Daily Show, and we used to share an office and write together. Rob Corddry and I worked together on The Daily Show. Jay Leno got me my start in the business. I was an attorney and a lawyer and investment banker on Wall Street doing M&A deals. And I started...
Wow, really?
Yeah. And I started writing jokes as a hobby.
And you lost $80,000 of his money.
Exactly. Jay, here's the deal. I lost your money, but the upside, I can write jokes for free. How's that for a quid pro quo?
So you had to work it off?
Yeah, exactly. No, I was on Wall Street with no plans of doing anything in the entertainment world. Although, I guess that's not true. In law school, I started to have short film ideas. So, and I always loved comedy, and I was watching comedy and stand-up comics on, like, The Tonight Show, Letterman, stuff like that. But I'm going to go be a lawyer. I'm a middle-class kid from Rhode Island. I'm going to go be a lawyer, and I like business and law, so I'm going to go do corporate law. But I was always writing these short film ideas. So one of my first paychecks, I bought a camera, and I started making short films as a lawyer on the side. And then one of them got into the $12,000 I spent on this black and white 16 millimeter. It was like 10 minutes. Everybody was like, "You're crazy. You're wasting your money." And it got into a bunch of festivals, and I got to like go to a luncheon with like Albert Brooks and Spike Lee and the Hudlin brothers. It was for a luncheon for young filmmakers at the HBO Aspen Comedy Festival. And I'm like, wow. And this was my weekend off from work. Like, this isn't even my main job, right? And then I started writing jokes as a hobby, and I got to go to see Jay Leno perform at a private function that my firm had some affiliation with. And it was a very exclusive, like, 150 people. And I was super busy. I was like working crazy hours, like these young associate hours where you're just like a slave to like these M&A deals. And I basically said, I'll take an hour break. And I had all these jokes written in a passworded file at work, and I printed them out. And he performed, and then Leno was doing a meet and greet after, and I went up and I said, "I love writing jokes, I have jokes." And I hand him the jokes, and he's like, "Hey." And he really does talk like that. It's like they're letting helium out of a balloon very slowly. Like, you just want to yell at him, like, "Breathe, for God's sakes. Breathe, man." And then he goes, "Hey, come back here." I go, "What?" He goes, "You might want to put your name and your phone number on here so I know how to reach you." Like, I was like so flustered. Like, I didn't even. And then the next day he called me and he said, "I need jokes for the Tonight Show monologue. I'll hire you to start sending jokes in. And if I use them, I'll pay you $50 a joke." And then he calls me the next week, and he does to tell me he's doing one of my jokes that night. And he does it, and it blows my head off my shoulders. I'm like, whoa, this is way cooler than these billion-dollar merger deals I was working on, which you'd think like would be pretty cool. And it was, but like, it's not. It just, and I think looking back, I was like, there's this creative spark that went off. Like, I created something out of thin air, and you guys know you perform, right, or whatever, and you have your show, and it reaches people, and it was just it was powerful. So now I became obsessed with writing jokes to the point where I was going to deal meetings with two notebooks, and one was for the jokes and one was for deal notes, and I was taking no deal notes. Like, and I was responsible for doing like minutes of the meeting, and like I would have to go back and like, now what did he say? Because you're a comedian, it's like you're observing and these really like masters of the universe, like characters, like these T. Boone Pickens from like Texas comes in, this oil magnate, and we're selling something for him, and like just these characters larger than life. And then Leno says to me, "Go try the jokes out before you send them to me. You can see how they do." So I start to go to open mic nights in New York City, little dive bars, to get stage time when I had a dinner break. Because you work till literally like 1 a.m, go home, and then go back and pull all-nighters. But you'd get like a dinner break at 7 or 8 o'clock. And I would go to these shitholes. Like, one of the places I worked was called Downtown Beirut 2. I love the 2, and I'm like, well, they're either franchising these or Israeli fighters took out the first one. I don't know, right? And it was literally like a dysfunctional Chirs. A hooker worked out of there. They dealt drugs out of the bathroom. There was a pimp that worked out of there. When people on the streets borrow money from you to go drinking, you wonder where do they go to drink, they would go to this bar. They literally would go. There was a sign on the men's room door that said, "The toilet seat is only to be used to go to the bathroom, not to cut coke. Thank you, the management." Right?
Perfect place.
Yeah,
for
exactly. Right. And I would go, and I like try to dress down, take my tie off and my jacket at least, and roll up my sleeves with my little Brooks Brothers shirt and suit, right, and totally out of place. And I'm waiting to go on stage one night, and there's a fight at the pool table. There's a guy on stage playing Blown in the Wind badly, and a guy runs out of the bar, and a guy grabs his neck, and he starts screaming, "He cut me, man! The motherfucker, he cut me!" It was a drug deal gone bad, and they knew each other, and the guy cut him across the side of the neck the box cutter and ran out. And now the guy's bleeding, not so deep that like he was dying, but like a lot of blood. And he's super drunk. So like, you know, when you're drunk, you don't know. And his girlfriend's like, oh my God. And he's like, oh, I'm going to fucking get him. And the guy's on stage. Yeah, it's my friend. Like he just keeps playing. Like he's not getting off. Right. So I think the show's over. Right. The MC goes up and goes, you guys ready for some comedy? I swear to God.
Greatest first show that's ever happened to anybody.
So I'm like, and you'll understand this, I'm too new to understand that I don't have to go up. Like, I think I have to go up.
Right.
It's not like it's the fucking Tonight Show and I have to go on. It's like a shithole. I could just walk out and they'll just bring some other schmuck
Well,
up.
they might cut you.
Right, exactly. Give me a second. You gotta get back on stage. So I go up thinking I have to go up and I don't know what to say. So I'm a bit of a wise ass and I go, well, it's nice to be here at downtown Beirut too. I always wanted to follow a slashing, which I thought was a pretty good line. But the guy now is wandering around the bar and he heard me say just the word slashing and he thought I was making fun of him and he goes, hey, he goes, are you busting my balls? I don't need to take this shit from you. And he charges the stage and he takes all these bloody cocktail napkins and he throws them at me. And they hit my shirt and they bounce off my shirt and so leave a blood stain on my shirt. This is all true. So now, at this point,
this is the greatest first show that's ever
And in your head, when that happened, you're like, I gotta finish my set.
that's exactly right. That's how fucked up I am.
Jay Leno needs these jokes.
Exactly.
Like $50 a throw.
I
mean,
lost $80,000 of this guy's money. There's the least I can do. So, and I remember thinking to myself, like, this is God's message, get off stage. And I'm like, fuck this, I'm staying. Fuck this guy, right? So I'm doing my set.
this is God's message to get out of life.
Yeah, exactly.
Leave New York.
Go back to your little safe job in your little ivory tower. So I just was like, holy shit. And nobody's paying attention.
Really? They weren't.
that's weird.
They didn't have a good crowd there that night. That's
And the guy's screaming, and then all of a sudden he turns back to me and he goes, "Hey, what are you doing anyway?" I go, "I'm trying to tell jokes," and I'm thinking like I'm next. He goes, turns back to everybody in the club. He goes, "Oh yeah," he goes, "I like jokes. Hang on a second. Hey everybody, shut the fuck up! This guy's trying to tell jokes." The whole place shuts up. And when he would scream,
And he's still bleeding.
He's still bleeding. Not only was it when he screamed, the stress on the neck, like a little bit of blood would like squirt out like that, like it would. Because he was like that, right? And the whole place shuts up. I was doing great for those 2 minutes because they were afraid not to laugh because it's fucking nut job, right? Mm-hmm. So I get off stage. And I get back, I would have like a car service take me down and like hide like a block away in the shadows. I didn't want it was a secret double life I was leading. Nobody on Wall Street could know I was, trolling bars, and nobody in this world, they thought I was like some trust fund kid, which I wasn't. I get back in the car, I go back up. I was supposed to be gone an hour. I was gone 3.5 hours. It's close to midnight. The senior partner in the firm's there, and these guys, this is like corner office guy, gray hair, doesn't stay past 6 o'clock. It's fucking almost midnight. I walk into the room. You know when you're like 15 and you do something really stupid, like you dent your parents, whatever, and you think you're gonna fucking snow them with this scheme that you have, and they know it in like 3 seconds. I became 15 years old. I decide I'm gonna walk around the firm with a file folder covering my blood stain, and no one will notice it on my white shirt, right where my rib cage is. Right. I walk into the room, a conference room, 20 lawyers, bankers, deal blew up, and the senior guy goes. Screaming at me. You know, like when your dad's screaming at you, it's like he can't even see straight. Where have you been? What have you been doing? Why do you have a blood stain on your shirt? Like it was literally like 4 seconds and it was out. And I'm like, I'm fucking dead. I'm dead, right? And there's a pregnant pause, and then all of a sudden, somebody goes, what kind of shirt is that? And one of the lawyers goes, it's Brooks Brothers. He goes, I get stains in Brooks Brothers shirts all the time. You want club soda and lemon juice to get that out. And another guy goes, nah, Armani's pretty good to get stains out. They started to compete with each other, but what was the better shirt to get blood stains out?
Jesus.
And I just slinked out of the room. And so that was my life for like 2 years.
Was that your last day?
No, but it was coming up. It was like coming up fast because I was trying to keep it all together. Like then I started to get passed at some of the bigger clubs in New York, and then but you go on like late at night. But like one night, like one of the partners' wives was there with some friends. They were out like late girls' night out, and I'm like, holy fuck! And I had to go like hide behind the bar until she left, and then it was just I was having a nervous breakdown. And my girlfriend, who's now my wife, we were living together, when I finally told her, because she didn't know, she goes, "Oh, thank God." Well, no, actually what she said was, I said, "I think I want to leave Wall Street to be a comedian." She said, "That better be your first joke." That was what she said to me. But then she goes, "Thank God." I go, "Why?" She goes, "Well, I thought you were cheating on me because you're supposed to be working and you're coming home like reeking of beer and cigarette smoke and you have blood stains on your fucking shirt and women's phone numbers, which were other comics with rooms." So she put a different story together. So then I did it for like another, I was sort of straddling the two worlds for like a year, and then I was just like, another year. And it's just like, I either got to shit or get off the pot. I can't.
You know what's interesting is no one reacted to the way I thought they would when they saw you with a blood stain on your shirt. That's everyone's like, "You got to get that out." Or, I thought you were cheating on me. Well,
yeah, exactly. And to this day, I'm the same way. Like, I would have been like, how did that? Because that's the thing I was fearing. Once he said it, then my mind started going, okay, what's the story?
Yeah,
why?
I thought you were going to go, "Oh, I got mugged," and they'd have sympathy.
Yeah. And it was like a roundish stain, like, so it didn't even, like, I couldn't say like, "Oh, it wasn't like a little bit of blood, like I cut my finger and it like glanced across my shirt, like it was a big fucking grapefruit of a stain." So it was like, so yeah, I and that's kind of how it all started. And then I sold my apartment and I moved to that I owned, and I moved to a rooming house outside the city. We shared a bathroom and a kitchen. I had a little room, like 10 by 12 room, and I lived in this place with two ex-cons, two recovering addicts, two ex-cons on parole, two recovering addicts, and a 300-pound phone sex operator who sold Herbalife diet products door to door. She lived above me.
So the people from the bar.
Exactly.
You just moved above the Beirut.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, so it was a very, it was a bizarre, like, whatever. Yeah. So I don't know. So anyway, been doing stand up and the podcast and,
Show business.
Yeah. So that's how yeah, exactly.
Story.
But I got to interview Paul McCartney on my podcast. Is it okay if I tell the story real quick?
Tell it.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Don't worry, everyone. We'll get to the movie soon.
I'm sorry. I went too long on that story, didn't I?
That's all right. It was
fucking story.
Yeah, it's not the kind of story you interrupt. Go ahead.
Well, you just tell me to stop talking. Real quick, I run into Paul McCartney at a show that I was working on, and
he's at the Beirut too.
He's at the Beirut too. He's a bartender. And he's standing in the hallway after rehearsal. They haven't taped the show yet, and he's all alone in the hallway. Like, all alone, just hanging out, chewing gum, looking at the ceiling, literally like leaning against the wall, one shoulder looking at the ceiling. And I'm like, holy shit, that's Paul McCartney. Should I talk to him? Should I not? And I'm like, screw it. It's like a gazelle on the Serengeti's plains. He's game. I'm going to talk to him. He's out here with no handlers or bodyguards. So I say, "Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Hey, what's your name?" "Paul." "Oh, Paul, that's a good name. What do you do?" "Oh, I'm a stand-up." "Oh, I like stand-up." We start talking. Kids and touring, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And it's like I'm having an out-of-body experience. Like on the outside, I'm all cool. On the inside, I'm like, I'm talking to Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
I was like every 60, and I was getting creepy close. Like, I don't know if you ever saw the Seinfeld episode, The Close Talker. I became that guy because he looks amazing. He's 71, and I kept getting closer and close. Like, I was like that chimp on the National Geographic Channel that cleans gnats off its felt. Like, I was that close to his face.
You thought he was one of those 3D pictures.
Yeah, exactly.
You're getting closer. All right, now it's coming into focus.
And he looks amazing. And so then one thing leads to another, and I said, "Hey, why would you be sleeping with a woman with one leg?" No. I did want to ask him that. And I'm delusional, and I'm really fascinated by musicians because I'm not musically inclined, so I like to talk to musicians about how they make music, as it's just, and I really like process. So I said to him, "I'd like to talk about making music. Would you do my podcast?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure." Just like that.
What?
Just like that fast. Not, let me think about it.
Talk to my guy.
Now I turned into like the 15. Remember, you like in high school, there was a hot chick you wanted to ask out, and then you finally say, "I'm going to ask her out." She'll say no, and I'll get this out of my system. But instead, she says yes, and you don't have a plan.
Yeah.
That was me. He goes, "Yeah," and I'm like, "How would we do it?" And I'm like, this is now we're in New York City, by the way. He goes, I go, "I'll come to London." And he's like, "We're in New York," and then and he goes, "Is it easy to do?" And I actually said to Paul McCartney, "Yeah, it's super easy. I don't want to be a bother. You could do it on the phone, naked from your toilet." I'm like, what am I saying? And he saw how flustered I was. He was really nice, and he goes, "Look, this." I said, "I'll go talk to your assistant." He goes, No, just let you and I coordinate it. They'll muck it up." Wow. And long story short, he does the show. I think I got the nicest blow off ever. My phone rings. I'm now running over to the Daily Show to do that taping. I don't recognize the number. I let it ring to voicemail. And this is the message that was on my phone.
Hey, Paul, it's Paul McCartney here. I'm going to ring you back in 5 minutes to do the podcast thing. I've got some time now. Otherwise, I'm going to run out of time. So if you're there in 5 minutes' time, you got me. Okay, bye.
You have a voicemail from a Beatle on your iPhone. Are you aware of that fact?
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
and I, by the way, I picked this message up at 52nd Street and 11th Avenue because I'm literally walking, and I literally stop, and people must have thought I was like a crazy homeless guy because I start going, fuck! Fuck! I just screened the call from Paul McCartney, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. And then I call the Sideshow Network. I speak to Sean, a fellow friend, and I go, Sean, I think I'm going to have Paul McCartney. He goes, well, we got somebody in the studio. And I turned into that guy for a minute. I'm like, did you not hear me? I have Paul McCartney. Blah, 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 blah. And then I had to call him back 3 more times because we had to coordinate getting the line. And I finally was like, Mr. McCartney, I'm going to have a heart attack. Can we just do it another day? He goes, no, it's the only window. And then I called him back, and he got on the phone, and we did it. It was so... It happened within 2 hours of asking him, it happened.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and he couldn't have been a nicer guy. I mean, I've been big time by much smaller people than that in this world, in this business, and he could not have been a nicer guy. And we talked about process, and like I was fascinated. I just asked him, like, where did you get? Like, as a comedian, you kind of want to give your audience what they like, right? And the bigger you get, the more there's that pull between what you want and what they want. And I said, where did you guys get the chutzpah of, like, it changed your sound so radically from one album to another when you had millions of fans? Weren't you worried about them going, well, I don't want Sgt. Pepper. I want,
Hard Day's Night.
Yeah. Like, he goes, no, we never thought that way. He goes, we just did what we thought was cool and wanted to do and trusted our fans would stay with us. So it was really, really proud of a really cool conversation. So people can check it out on iTunes, the Paul Mecurio show.
Well, thanks for bringing that. That's the first time we've ever had Paul
I have
McCartney.
I have this thing saved in 4 places too.
So you need a backup for that.
Yeah.
So,
all right, well, let's talk some movies.
Yeah, we've got a lot actually to talk about. Now, Fury, this is a movie you saw, and I was on the fence about this movie when I saw the trailer, so I want to hear your take on this.
Overall, it's a very good movie.
It is.
It is a very good movie. I'm not the biggest fan of Shia LaBeouf, but he's good in this. And they do some interesting stuff with this. They do, because the question is, what is there new to talk about with World War II?
That's exactly what I was thinking when I saw the trailer. Yeah.
What is there? Just the gritty.
What's the new take or new spin?
What's the new take? Like, what could they? Okay, we've seen these guys trapped behind enemy line. Like, we've seen this.
And the one that was like really a stretch was the one with the art movie with the George Clooney directed.
And they really didn't execute that movie very well. So that was kind of, I was thinking the same thing. Like, what is this going to be?
Monuments Men?
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. So what they did was they went into the real gritty part of World War II that has been a little bit glossed over the years. Because we were victorious against the ultimate evil in Hitler.
You mean the strip clubs in Austria? They cover that part?
Yeah. Well, like, there were American soldiers doing it was war. So they did brutal things. It wasn't all just like killing the Nazis and handing out Hershey bars to young Germans.
Not the John Wayne.
No,
you mean like what? I mean, you mean like the
awful
like
acts of
assaulting women and
assaulting women, just like prisoner. Fuck that. He's getting one between the eyes. But there's no POWs out here. My job is to kill fucking Germans.
Wow.
And the grittiness and how these guys were just hardened, and especially that war. You didn't get to get on a plane and then come home and have R&R for a week or whatever. You were gone for 3 years.
Yeah.
And, it was really, they did some amazing things showing these guys, and you're just like, God, I'm having a hard time having sympathy for them. But then it's like, it's just the awfulness of war, in particular that war.
Was it these guys just sort of, it was their way of dealing with the stress of it? It's
their way of dealing with the stress of it, and the pragmaticness or the pragmatism of Brad Pitt's character of just like, and it's in one of the trailers where he's like, I started fighting Germans in Africa and now we're in Germany. He goes, so we're bringing this home. I'm sick of this shit.
Yeah.
There's some problems that I had with it in the sense that they establish early on, the first scene of the movie is them all just kind of yelling at each other, but you realize that they're just venting, and Brad Pitt is letting them vent. Mm-hmm. And he even says, like, one guy's like, quit crawling up my ass. And he goes, if I wanted to crawl up my ass, you'd fucking know it. So he's kind of letting his guys just sort of air it out. But it's also clear he's in charge and they respect him.
See, would explain something? Because I heard that the director was encouraging these guys to literally like get into fights and fist fights before scenes. But maybe to fuel scenes like that.
Well, yeah, and there's some very powerful scenes where they're like, because of the stress of this job, and you're in a tank that everyone is shooting at, and guys can. And the movie starts with one of their guys had already just died that they'd been with for the last 2 years. So I think the director did a good job in that, in the sense that there's always this kind of like tension, but then this brotherhood. But there was just one scene in there after they took over this German village that just. They're sitting at a dinner table, and it just was too drawn out, and it just wasn't believable to me at all. They're challenging him, and it's really
challenging Pitt, or
they're challenging Pitt in a way that I'm just like, that just
it didn't.
It just didn't resonate.
They were challenging him to be ugly, to not be pretty. I dare you to have a zit, to be imperfect.
Exactly. But they like, and there was just a scene. It was really long, and it just felt. It felt too much like too theatrical. Like it was this big, almost like a scene from a stage play where everyone gets a big monologue and
and they're all kind of saved up for that scene.
But overall, I think it is really worth seeing, and it's worth seeing on the big screen in the sense that it does. I mean, this is the quote from the commercials now, since it took the weekend, as it redefines the genre. It kind of does a little bit,
really,
in the sense that. Like, I remember when Saving Private Ryan came out, that was the first time we saw that realistic battle scenes in the D-Day scenes. And, a lot of people might have criticisms of the rest of the movie or whatever, but the D-Day scenes, like, changed war movies after that.
Right. They're brutal.
And I remember when Thin Red Line came out, it was like any war movie that came out right after that didn't use those sort of that realistic battle scene, kind of, you sense it. Wow, this feels short.
It's true. Like if you use Patton as a sort of a, like, it's so clean. It's like it's a bloodless movie,
right?
From that,
and well, Patton is a good example though. Patton was pretty dirty compared to for that time and compared to the 50s movies that came out.
Yeah.
And so Saving Private Ryan was like we hadn't seen
that watershed.
It's a far cry from Frank Sinatra in a sailor suit singing on a carrier. They're in a tank punching each other in the dick.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like dancing around.
Well, now, I got to ask this, because the trailer makes it look like the tank is like almost a character in the film. Like his relationship with the tank and how it's his home. Like, how does that play out in the actual movie? Is that a big part of the film?
Well, the trailers make it seem more than it is. It's a character in the film in the sense that...
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, exactly. It's not the best trailer editing, but I'll tell you what, it's a character in the sense of that's where they live, and that's where shit goes down, because they've been traveling literally since Africa in this fucking thing. So they know it, and they're barking or they're either joking around or they're barking at each other, and then all of a sudden it's game on, and everybody dials into their job, and then they bring on a new kid, and while this theme of, hey, new kid, you're going to get us all killed has been done a million times before, the way they handle it in this movie is pretty like, don't fuck around here, and it's pretty brutal in terms of how they treat the Germans and all this other stuff, and it's just like I think it's really worth seeing. And again,
I'm surprised, because I got to tell you, the trailer's not doing it justice then, because I looked at the trailer a couple of times and I'm like,
I was lukewarm on the trailer.
And by the way, I've been in a tank, as I did a USO tour, and they let you go in the tank.
I'm sure it's exactly the same.
Oh my God, it was so claustrophobic, and I was in for like a couple of minutes, and I'm like, what? There's not even a coffee holder in this thing? Like, it was like I don't know how in the heat of battle
they did a good job the filming that of making you feel
that
tight
close, yeah.
and like, Jesus, these guys are right on top of each other, and there's smoke and there's shells, and it's like, you know, and Brad Pitt is like on the headset, like, get this, get that, what, you know, just barking at people, and there's no room for any niceties in that environment, and they did a really good job with that. The trailers. Yeah. The trailers
I'm
make
surprised.
it seem like it's another cliched war film,
Right?
And I would say that there's a couple scenes in it that didn't play for me, and a couple times I think they had these guys, some of the supporting guys, go a little too over the top in terms of their caricatures, but then they brought just enough three-dimensional humanity to them that it wasn't, because there was times some of them walked the edge of the like. Mm-hmm. The Southern guy in the unit, we've seen in the World War II a million times. Like it's
and then there's Vinny from Brooklyn who has to work with the right, and then there's a guy from the South who never met a black person before, and he has to fight with him, and then they end up being best friends.
So they when they walk close to that line, but then they put such like stark reality to it that it made it plausible for me. So I think it's worth.
No,
seeing.
well, here's the question. Merchandising? Are we talking a Shia LaBeouf action figure?
I hope so. I hope we're going to get
a little tank that also.
You're going to buy
a little tank that acts as a lighter.
That's exactly what it does. Yeah, the German action figures whose heads pop off. Yeah. It's great. All right.
So let's talk about.
I give it a hashtag work it.
All right, work it. Let's go to Rudderless now. Paul, you saw this film. But
I did.
What's it about? First of all.
It is about a guy. It's got a son of freshman in college, 18, 19-ish, you know, pretty professional guy, you know, life's good. And there is a school shooting at the son's campus, and 6 kids get killed, and his son's one of them. And it just turns his life upside down.
It stars Billy Crudup. It's directed by William Macy.
Yeah. So Selena Gomez is in it as like billed as the first top billing, but she's hardly in it. Lawrence Fishburne is in it, which surprised me. Mm-hmm. He's great, and Billy's really good.
So it's a heavy drama.
Yeah, and I almost didn't want to watch it because I have a kid, and once you have a kid and you start seeing fucking kids dying and shit,
it's heartbreaking.
It really, and I was like, I don't want to be depressed tonight. I had a good day.
Heartbreaking and terrifying.
Right.
At the same time.
So then what happens is, I don't want to give too much away, but basically he kind of derails, you know, he starts drinking, and then he just checks out and lives on a boat. He becomes a house painter, but he's drinking all the time. But then his wife, played by Felicity Huffman, ex-wife, she says, "Oh, here's some of his stuff." And his kid was a songwriter, and he was making songs, and so the father, I guess, had some facility for the guitar, and he runs into this kid. The father starts playing the songs of the son that the son wrote in this bar, and then a kid about his son's age sees him, who's an aspiring musician, and hounds this guy to like let him play with him, and then they end up playing in a band together. So he ends up playing in a band with like 4 or 3 20-year-old kids, and it follows this. Yeah, and then, but he does not reveal to anybody the songs that he's been singing, and supposedly, I'm doing air quotes for people listening, writing, were actually written by his son. And then he reveals it, and then everybody's pissed off at him. It's especially the kid who. It's funny. It tricked me. I thought it was going to become like.
Remember, no spoilers either. Don't give away the ending.
Yeah, no. I thought it was going to be that. You know what? I don't want to say this because it might spoil it. I thought it was a little long. It was an hour and 46 minutes, and I thought it could have been an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. And I find those movies tend to do that. They tend to like really need to show you the pain of the guy. 4 different scenes where you could do it in 2 scenes. And then there's sort of a B story of he's a sailor, but there's a stodgy sailor guy that doesn't like him and doesn't want him on the lake. And it didn't really seem to propel the story forward. But I thought it was pretty well done. And Billy's really good in it. Like, he's really, really good in it. I think
I'm interesting because I barely remember even coming out. It must have just had like it came out earlier in the year and had a really small
release.
And there's no sex scenes, which was a big bummer for me. I was just hoping anything, even with the kid, you know, man-on-man sex. I don't care. I'll take it in a tank, maybe in a tank.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like, if you had a bad day at work, this isn't the movie. You know what I mean? Like if you if you had a fight with your kid, like
if you just performed in a bar where someone got cut,
exactly,
you shouldn't watch this film.
What I was doing while I watched it, I was scrubbing blood out of my white shirt. No, so I
Club Soda and Lemon, guys.
Yeah,
that's
it.
But
William H. Macy is a pretty impressive director. But I think some of his, I think it could have been a leaner movie, and it would have had more impact. Basically, it sort of drags on a bit, but it was really interesting, and it didn't sort of go down a couple of predictable roads that I thought it could have, which was interesting. So, yeah.
So, is recommended?
Yes,
all right.
I recommend it, but first, take an antidepressant.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, no, I would recommend it. Yeah.
All right.
And it's on Amazon and Netflix now.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Rudderless. Check it out. Yeah, I'm curious because William H. Macy has only directed like a TV
handful
movie.
of
And he has a
stuff,
small
yeah.
part in it. He plays the bar owner.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I love what he does.
And Lawrence Fishburne was a good ad. Like he injected energy because Billy's. I think part of maybe this isn't the direction, but Billy sort of it was a labored a performance at times because I think that's what the character's going through, right? It's this sort of maudlin whatever, and then Lawrence Fishburne plays a music shop owner in town, and he injects like energy into the film. So he was a good
cool.
ad. He had an impressive cast, definitely.
Cool.
Well, I want to talk about Book of Life next. This is the animated movie produced by Guillermo del Toro. Now, it's one of those things, too, is it how involved was Guillermo del Toro? It's despite the the press releases and the interviews, it's like he's kind of busy. He's working on the next Pacific Rim, the Strain series, and but here's the thing: whether it's a vanity credit or not, it's a decent movie. It's a decent animated movie. It wasn't the shovelware that I thought it would be, like this these movies just being generated to
Jorge Gutierrez, who I guess has done a lot of animation in Mexico, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And it's an animated film that really, this is a weird thing to say, but it really concentrates on the animation. It's a beautiful looking film, and it explores the mythology of Mexico's Day of the Dead. And it's a mixture of these kids go to a museum and they learn the stories, but then also the world opens up with the Mexican puppets, and the actual characters of the story are the animated puppets, which makes the characters a little more interesting to look at. But it's beautiful backgrounds, beautiful backdrops. It's not bad. It's not amazing. The problem is that the bar has been set so high for story and character in animated films, for movies like anything from Pixar and Frozen, and even like something like Wreck-It Ralph. You just expect so much from an animated film. But this one's not bad. It's definitely like right in the middle. It's like there have been it's not a Rio or a
You think there could have been more character development?
I think there could have been more character development. Like the humor's uneven. Like the soundtrack's a little weird. Like it's like the mariachi band's playing like Radiohead, because it's meant to be kind of funny and tongue in cheek, but it comes off as like it was trying to be ironic. Yeah. It's not. I don't think you even need to go there. And some of the lines are like, okay, but so again, it's another animated film that could have used another little bit of punch up from a bunch of comedy writers. But here's the thing about it. My kids absolutely loved it.
Oh, yeah?
They loved it because it was beautiful to look at, but also it's a kind of a classic legend love story kind of thing. My wife actually really liked it too. So it's like I said, it's better than I thought it would be. It's okay. It's like kind of right in the middle. Like if you have a choice of like some of these a Shrek sequel or this one, definitely pick this one. So Book of Life, it's now we saw it in 3D. It's not necessary to see it in 3D, but the movie is beautiful enough that seeing it on a big screen so you could take in the detail of the animation is worth your while.
So you're saying the animation alone is worth it?
The animation alone is worth it, yeah.
But why would they bother with 3D for that? I mean, can't you still get the brilliance of the animation without the 3D?
Absolutely, you can. Absolutely, you can. It's all a marketing and cost thing. Because once it's in the computer, it's much easier because it's not like you're setting up 3D cameras on a set. When you have it, you're creating a computer. It's easy to create 3D version, regular version, and but you can charge this giant premium for the 3D ticket price.
What do you think is the animated movie that straddles that line best for adults and children. I think that's I think animation is the hardest thing to do because you've got to satisfy two different, very disparate groups of people at the same time.
And when it works, it's brilliant. It's so funny is when like a movie like Up comes out and it's got like adults in tears in addition to like entertaining children. But lately some of the Disney quote non-Pixar movies, but here's the thing, it's all the same company anyway. They bought Pixar. John Lasseter is involved in every animated project over there. Things like Frozen was fantastic. Wreck-It Ralph I really liked. Tangled was great.
I thought Ice Age, Ray Romano.
The first one or the 8 after that?
The first one. No, it was I'll give the first two a nod, and then it became the Rocky of animated movies. But yeah, I thought that one was sort of. My son was young, and I was like, I could watch this whether or not I had a son. I thought that one carried it.
That's how you could tell too. Like when the 10 p.m. screenings are sold out of an animated movie, and there's no kids in the audience. Yeah, that's when you've hit that sweet spot. Of like everyone wants to go see your movie. Right. Like Big Hero 6 looks fantastic. I can't wait to see that one. That's T.J. Miller's new movie.
Miller's big film.
So definitely, if you've got kids, definitely check it out. The thing about this movie too is it's not getting the marketing push that a lot of these other movies are getting. So, but it's worth your time to check out. Your kids will probably like it. Like I said, it's beautiful.
Maybe you should see Rudderless, then immediately see that afterwards.
Yeah, that's to get you out of there.
Right, exactly.
Rudderless funk.
That'll be your yin and yang, indeed. So, and the next movie is The Judge. Now I will preface this by saying that this was the kind of movie that I really wanted to be good. I was like, oh, this could be such a great
really, because I saw the trailer and I'm like, this just feels like every retread.
Oh, see, I was a little bit more optimistic. I was like, this could be a cool kind of son reconciling with the father through them first butting heads and going through a trial.
Based on the one trailer that they made.
Yes.
They made 4 different trailers,
right.
which is of 4 different films,
Yeah.
and that's the problem with this movie.
It is 4 different movies.
First of all, this movie. I like all these actors. Robert Downey Jr.
I'm disappointed to hear that.
Robert Duvall, Vera Farmiga are all through the 3
I
actors.
love Robert Duvall.
Of course, how can you not like Robert
Downey
Duvall?
Jr. at times a little too smug for me. I would like
the
to
problem with this film.
I would like to hold him down and make him do crack again.
Yeah, and
you're gonna smoke this, remember? No, yeah, you're too smug, you shit.
yeah,
Who the fuck do you think you are?
exactly.
Maybe he should have done this film as Iron Man. That would have been. Just comes into the
Honestly,
courtroom.
like
Let's see if we can work in another less than zero reference before the end of the show.
But he keeps. That's the problem with this film. First of all, the problem is it's directed by David Dobkin, who did Wedding Crashers and Shanghai Nights, and
So what's the problem?
the problem is why
Shanghai Nights or the David Lean of our generation, perhaps. You smug Robert Downey prick, you.
It was written like a comedy, it's directed like a comedy, and then they're trying to get you into a drama.
Right. So
That's a good point, because the first trailer I saw for this, I thought it was a comedy. And then I saw another trailer, and I'm like, oh, this is a vehicle through which these guys resolve this estranged relationship and whatever.
So you think it's a comedy, but it also is trying to be a hazy shade of winter?
It's trying to be a real. Honestly, it's like and it felt like a '90s movie. I felt like I was watching August Osage County versus Doc Hollywood and My Cousin Vinny. Like literally, it was like, what is going on in these heavy? There are these heavy moments happening, and then just like Jokey Jokerson and the crowd I'm watching it with in Ohio's laughing, and I'm like.
Right. A little bit of Doc Hollywood.
Yeah, it's like back to the hillbilly town, the big city guy. It was like so ridiculous, and the courtroom scenes, and then like what it needed was, and this is so hard to do. You have a heavy drama that has human funny moments in
Yes.
it. That's what's relatable.
Yes, and there are movies that have been able to pull that off, and television shows that have been able to pull that off. Because that happens in life.
That's what happens in life.
You go to a funeral. I was talking to Gilbert Gottfried about it on my show, and he's like, you go to a funeral, and I did it. You start making jokes, and it's a way of dealing with it. So as long as it has context and it's organic, And there are movies that have been, I mean, even in like Philadelphia,
Right.
There's this guy's dying of AIDS, and there's moments where there's levity.
That made sense.
Yeah.
Within what's going on.
But you're talking about a director who was doing broad comedy, so like he's
That's
going to
what-
try. He's going to just try to jam in a sight gag or a big gag.
and let Robert Downey Jr. just joke his way through it, and it's like, no, man.
Yeah.
And it starts out as this so cliched, high-powered lawyer. Like this, I'm like, I've seen this scene.
Yeah.
There must be a computer program that you can just add this scene in Final Cut or something that's just like,
just
give
hit a
me
button.
hot shot lawyer scene. Bam.
Right.
Like,
With Country Bumpkin Dad,
yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
He's the hot shot big city lawyer. Like, it was so like, ugh.
By the way, though, speaking about court scenes in My Cousin Vinny, it was on the other night, and I was watching some of it.
Add
and
the cute but put upon paralegal.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Who ends up solving everything. Like,
Right.
the
They
dummy that
literally
no...
did the scene in the bathroom outside the courthouse where Robert Downey Jr. is like Johnny Slicksuit, and then Frumple Defender goes, "How could you do that? That's unethical." And he's like, "Well, you should tell your client that I'm Johnny Slicktop," you know. And it was just like, boo,
Johnny
like,
Slicktop.
I've seen this scene in
Yeah.
that dumb series that's on USA or NBC. That lawyer
Suits.
Oh, Suits.
Fuck. It's like
yeah,
it made
yeah.
Suits look good. I just, it was so bad. And then when they tried to
You
get,
can make Breckenmeyer watchable.
Oh, my God. Can you explain that to me?
No, I can't.
I cannot...
I have no explanation.
No.
There's some people you go, I don't get it. Just as a diversion for a second, the back and forth between the judge and Joe Pesci and My Cousin Vinny is still some of the best comedic scenes. He's so good, Fred Gwynn, and his pacing is so just perfect. He's not pushing, and the chemistry's there. It holds up. Anyway, I'm sorry.
So
I
watch
gotta
My
stop.
Cousin Vinny instead of
Exactly.
Yes,
Watch
exactly.
My Cousin Vinny. You know, it's just, it just movie is just, and it's 2 hours and 20
Now I
minutes.
heard
You've
that
got a lot
Duvall
of
initially.
fucking
I read
balls.
Duvall initially didn't want to do this movie, and he turned down the script.
He should have stuck with
He
that.
should have. And then Iron Man showed up with Jon
Yeah.
Favreau, and
I
saw Chef. I liked Chef.
Chef's great. Go watch Chef.
Yeah,
You want to watch Robert Downey
really
Jr.?
sweet
Yeah,
movie.
that's good.
It's-
Man, he's a good director.
Jackie did a nice review on the site too.
That's a good film. The judge is just useless. Hashtag leave it.
So since we had such a long conversation earlier, why don't we just go right to DVDs?
Let's do it.
The Purge Anarchy is out.
As I said, when this movie came out in the theaters, the first Purge had, I think, a $3 million budget. This has a $9 million budget. It really expands on the themes of how violence doesn't work, and letting everybody kill everybody is not going to make society better, and is really
Look at the numbers, Graham.
yeah
The numbers don't lie.
yeah
Death is big.
yeah, and it's really terrifying, and it shows what it would be. I think it's, if you missed it in the theaters, it's definitely a good DVD rental.
Yeah, because we're only one credit score away from that actually happening.
Yeah, I know. One credit
Listen,
score
if there is a purge, I know where I'm going, and it's this garage.
this garage.
You have everything that you need. You have duct tape. You have envelopes. You have a meth scale and weights.
You
And a
can-
samurai sword.
And a
samurai sword, right.
And you could surround yourself with T-shirts. It'd basically be like Kevlar.
Yeah, pretty much.
You could have 8 inches of T-shirts.
You have 2 coolers.
yeah,
And you have a box of Lay's potato chips.
yeah. We're set.
I don't think we haven't planned it.
We have 5.
And we have a smug Robert Downey Jr. on a loop.
Yeah.
And we just over and over again. Well, of course you should.
What is he dying of cancer?
So the next movie out right now is Earth to Echo, and what's weird, because this was out in the theaters a long time ago, the fact that this is finally getting to DVD, this is a very bad children's film, and it's one of those movies that, like, oh, great premise, it's a found footage E.T., and it's way worse. So there's no real purpose to this film. It was also one of those ones that, somebody kind of gave up the rights. It
Right.
got released while it had a lot of problems getting made and distributed. And clearly, if you see the film, you'll understand why. Now, Sex Tape. This is I don't know anyone who's seen this movie.
Yeah, if you guys have seen it, good luck.
I made it. I made one. I don't. Yeah.
It's nice to see television actors getting a paycheck during their hiatus. That's what we can say about this film. It's nice to see they're still working.
I think it is.
How was the framing? Was it?
It was, it was a little larger. It was,
I hope to God this was in 3D.
Yeah.
This should be in 3D.
Once again, folks, go watch My Cousin Vinny.
Better sex scenes.
yes.
The sex scene between Joe Pesci and Fred Gwynn.
There were better,
magnificent.
There were better sex scenes in Less Than Zero.
There you go. I knew we'd get that worked in there again.
Now, I had one DVD pick. We had talked about this film earlier, but we hadn't seen it. Is The Signal. This is the Lawrence Fishburne film. This is an indie sci-fi movie. I really wanted to see this film because it was that kind of movie that's kind of shrouded in mystery. Like, you're not really sure what it's about. It kind of sets it up like this, weird metaphysical kind of allegory of like the way science fiction, like a 2001 kind of thing. And the problem is, after I'm watching this movie, I realized, oh, you know what? This movie thinks it's a lot smarter than it is. It just definitely falls apart. When it keeps adding these cryptic scenes. Like, every once in a while when you have a movie, a science fiction movie that you deliberately make cryptic, when you start releasing information, it has to match the other information that you've released and can't be random pieces of science fiction that have nothing to do with a previous scene. Like, at one point, one of the characters wakes up with robot hands, and then another one wakes up with robot legs, and then starts running like the Flash. Like, it's like you guys were in a facility, you were chasing a hacker signal, and you're missing one of your friends, and now you're flashing back to when you were at a carnival. This makes no sense, and I really think
does it?
Yeah, and it's one of those movies too. Like, you could, if it was well done, you could be on board. You could be like, all right, this is like a 2001 or an Upstream Color or whatever, because the information is there. It's up to you to put it together.
Right.
The information was not there, or was presented in a very sloppy way. And so when you get like to the big reveals at the end, it's like, I don't care in this, because nothing leads.
Because they insulted you along the way and slapped you in the face with their.
It's like okay, I get it. You're trying to be smart and trippy, and it's not working. And now you're just gonna hit me over the head with how smart and trippy you are. And it's an independent movie, but it's not a no-budget science fiction film, because you could see there's definitely a few $1 million into this movie, because the effects are pretty decent. There's cars and crashes and explosions, and it's one of those weird, like, low-budget sci-fi that I think would have been better as like a no-budget one. Like, if you really went Pi or something, and you really made it like darker and gritty, I think it would have been better served and worked on the script a little bit. But it's a leave it.
All right.
But
your DVD pick is
my DVD pick is a leave it.
It seems like
Leave
it's
the
got to be
Signal.
more violent than Leave It. Like, I think it's like shit it out. Let's create a new category
Set
of
it
just
on fire.
like, you insulted my intelligence.
It's the judge.
It's the judge of DVDs releases.
All right, coming out this week, Ouija.
Yes.
Okay,
Based on the Hasbro game.
Yeah.
But I have to recuse myself because I know the filmmakers. I wish them all the best.
Why didn't you talk them out of it and save us all the trouble?
It looks
I tried to get them on
call
the
your-
show. They don't like doing interviews. So I tried to get them
Yeah,
on the
because they
podcast.
have their feet held to the phone.
it just looks like the same for film. Like, we've talked about this. The horror genre now.
There's paycheck movies for writers and directors
Yeah,
too,
I
not
mean,
just
hey, man,
actors.
You guys are getting jobs. God bless them. I just feel like it's the same. I've seen this trailer for a dozen, 2 dozen
Right.
films.
Yeah. And then it's like it's just it's just and then there's all these
That's it. All right.
And the next one is John Wick.
Why? Why
of seeing
Keanu Reeves? Why?
Speaking of seeing a trailer 1,000 times.
Okay, here's the thing. I've heard several people who went to a screening of this, and they were shockingly surprised that they thought it was good.
See,
Really?
this signals to me that this guy can't get scripts. This feels like, but I could be wrong, but like, he's Keanu Reeves. He's still got a name in Hollywood, right? Like, but this,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
This just
he's the guy
looks
who
like
did 47
literally at one, like I was I live in New York and I'm on the subway and there's a poster in the subway and it goes, "Don't set him off," meaning it's a wick.
Right.
Get it? And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That's what, not even
That's your
ironically,
tagline?
like, that's your tagline? That to me signaled that this was going to be like a movie you go to laugh at. You know, you ever go see a movie that's so bad that it's good?
That's what it looks like to me. But
Yeah, well, we'll see. Maybe it's one of those things where it's it's a decent movie that's getting a terrible marketing campaign again.
It could be that, because again, I worked with Doug Benson this past week, and he's like, and I was like, really? He goes, no, man, it's good. I go,
I only hope that he can achieve new levels of wooden acting in this.
So again, folks, My Cousin Vinny or Doc Hollywood.
Next is the movie Citizen 4. This is actually a documentary. I think it's interviews with Edward Snowden.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And let's pull it up real quick because I believe it's a series of interviews, or it's about the journalist who went over to interview him.
Yeah, it's a documentarian. A reporter traveled to Hong Kong for the first of many meetings with Edward Snowden. So It's really just the documentary of him talking about the whole process. So that to me,
because he's in it. And Snowden's in it.
He's in it. So I'm curious to watch this.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
Next movie is Laggies. This is the Keira Knightley movie that is about basically, a coming of age for 20-somethings movies. So, but it's limited release. It may not even be near you, but it might be on demand.
She's still acting?
She is. Well, the funny thing is she's acting like she's still in her 20s.
There you go.
Yeah. Sam Rockwell's in it.
Yeah, I love Sam Rockwell.
Oh, he's great.
We'll see. Wow. All right, we got through it.
That's it.
Yeah.
We did it, you guys. Bing, bang, boom. That's episode.
It always feels like an accomplishment when we get through an episode.
Right. It seemed like it goes by very quickly.
Yeah, it was
It's fun.
But it was a good time. So, Paul,
Yes.
where can people find your podcast, find you online, your websites, whatever?
Because it's quite a guest list, by the way, that you have
have an
on your
amazing
podcast.
number of people who have been
I'm
on
a
your
pretty
show.
important guy. I'm no John Wick.
Yeah.
It's called the Paul Mecurio Show. We workshopped that name a lot and decided that was the one.
How did
We did
focus group?
Oh, it was great. They said the name wasn't believable. They just weren't buying me as Paul Mecurio. Actually, Louis Black has a great story where they would somebody do a sitcom and big sitcom, and they wanted a Louis Black character, but they didn't want Louis Black for it. He had to audition to be himself, and he didn't get it.
Wow.
It's a great story.
Awesome.
Paul Mecurio Show is on iTunes and on Sideshow Network .tv. I'm going to be. When does this air?
Today.
I'm going to be on tour next week. I'm going to be at Cap City's Comedy Club, October 29th to November 1st. November 6th through the 8th, I'm at Foxwoods Casino up in Connecticut. And then November 20th to the 23rd, I'm at the Omaha Funny Bone. And then other dates going into December, I'm in Columbus, Ohio, Denver, and DC Improv. And it's all on my website, paulmecurio.com, or on my Facebook page and Twitter, Paul Mecurio. And it's spelled Mecurio. If you spell it Mercurio, it's the guy who was in Strictly Ballroom, who got in the Actors Union before I did, and because of him, I had to change the spelling of my name. And I hate you, and I'm going to find you, and I'm going to
take my R back.
I'm going to take my R back. I literally had to drop the R in my name because he got in the union before I did.
So technically, your name is Paul Mecurio.
Mecurio. That's my God-given name. It's on my license. But people were Googling me and getting him, and he was like this hot dancer at the time, and now he's gone on to act. And like a really hot body and like tight black pants and like a white tank top, and he's like got a bottle of water that he's spraying on himself. And people go to find him and see that picture and then go, I didn't know you were doing gay porn. I'm like, that's not me, that's that dude. So it's Mecurio.
So do people show up to comedy clubs and bummed out when you don't dance? Is that what? Is that what?
No, but you would
Pour water on
appreciate this.
yourself.
Where's the water?
Come to Cap City Comedy Club in Austin this weekend, guys, and watch Paul.
Where's the water? I was working at a club that I worked all the time. You would appreciate this. And on the tables at the clubs, they have like usually a postcard of upcoming acts for the next month. And they had his picture with my name.
Oh, that's great.
And I'm like, you're breaking my heart. I've been here 5 years. Come on. So it happened. And we kind of look like a dark hair, Italian
dark hair,
complexion.
tight pants,
Water amazing pecs. Say it. Look at my pecs. I know you want.
pretty
You've been pouring
impressive,
water
yeah.
on yourself this whole show.
I did work out and pump up before.
Yeah, you're
right?
pumped up, tight jeans. It's been an amazing podcast. Too bad we didn't do a video one. All right, well, cool, guys.
Yeah, thank you, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Thanks for being on the show, and I want to listen to the Paul McCartney episode.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul Mecurio.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. And also the Mythbusters one is really cool.
Oh, cool.
nice. That's cool.
Two-parter. And we really get into, we talk about atheism and God and they're scientists. They go to these skeptic society meetings and stuff around the country. So it took I like them when they take an unpredictable course,
Right.
and they kind of take on a life of their own. So that's a really cool one.
Well, check it out, guys. We are going to be doing Comedy Film Nerds live Sunday, November 2nd at the Helium Comedy Club in Portland, Oregon. It's a 7:30 show.
It's going to be a great show.
It's an amazing show. We're flying up Jimmy Pardo and Jackie Cation.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. We're going to show the Earbuds trailer. We're going to show some other trailers. We might even show a little Asylum for you folks.
Possibly.
Portland.
And we're also going to be doing more previews for upcoming films of the winter and fall season. It's because, honestly, we had a whole list of films for the Podfest show, and we got to barely half of them.
Oh, yeah. Because
there's many more films to talk about. There's more trailers to show. So even if you saw the Podcast Festival show, this one's going to be completely different. And it's going to be a very visual show. We're going to be showing a lot of clips, and we're going to be talking a lot, and Jimmy and Jackie are going to be fantastic.
it's going to be the two of them together. We're very excited for that. So that's November 2nd, Helium Comedy Club in Portland, Oregon. You can go to heliumcomedyclub.com to get tickets. We also have them on our website. And it's sponsored by openprimaries.org. So if you're a registered voter in Oregon, vote yes on ballot measure 90, November 4th.
And you may have already seen the commercial we produced.
Yes, we have a commercial, a 30-second spot that's airing right now, and the 60-second spot is going to go online pretty soon.
Starring Andy Wood.
Comedian Andy Wood, Portland resident. So check that out, you guys. November 2nd, Helium Comedy Club, Portland, Oregon, Comedy Film Nerds live with Jimmy Pardo and Jackie Cation. And then, of course, November 15th, we're doing our stand-up comedy and short film show at the Inside Jokes Comedy Club inside the Chinese Theater.
Now, I want to say something about this show. This show is going to be amazing. And one of the things that we always wanted to do is short films are a medium and an art form all unto their own. And it's very difficult sometimes to wade through and find really good short films. And we do that for this show. We're going to be showing Rope-a-Dope. It's an amazing martial arts film with Eric Jacobus and the stunt people, and we're also going to be showing some great animations. It's going to be a mix of comedies, and also there's like a cool kind of thriller, and we've got like 5 really amazing short films that you're not going to want to miss, that you'll only be able to see at the show. In fact, there's one comedy western that's is narrated by Nick Offerman from I think it's Community. It's so funny. It's really good.
Hilarious.
So, and the short programming is provided by Hollywood Shorts. We want to give them a shout out too. They've been doing a great job finding amazing short films for us. So check it out. It's a mixture of stand up and short films, and but the short films are going to be amazing.
Also, December 6th, I will be headlining again at Crossroads at Hawaiian Brian's in beautiful Honolulu, Hawaii. So be
cool.
there. Aloha. All right, guys, like us on iTunes, on the Facebook, positive reviews, all that stuff helps.
Absolutely. And get your friends to subscribe, too. That actually helps a lot, too. Mm-hmm. If you get friends to subscribe to Comedy Film Nerds, it actually helps our rankings considerably. The more subscriptions, the higher the ranks go.
Yes, they do, guys. And if you are in Portland, November 2nd, let's hope to see you there at Helium.
Work it.
I'm going.
Paul's going.
I'm taking Robert Downey Jr. We're going to just yell smug comments at you.
Bless you. As long as you got tight jeans and water. The flash dance scene.
It's right in my car. Right after the
wherever you travel.
It's like an emergency kit.
Well, if you show up, we're going to reenact scenes from My Cousin Vinny. So that's
2 Utes.
Yeah, it's what I said. 2 Utes.
Oh, you were serious about that?
All right, guys. Thank you so much to Paul Mecurio. My name is Grab Elwood.
And I'm Chris Mancini. As always, remember,
Han shot first.
Cut you.
Yes, I'm 90.